Ironman just also came out with their safe return to racing. And notice they trademark safe return or smart racing. You can trademark anything these days. But I wanted to kind of go through. Just got done talking about the Ironman Virtual Championship Series. Reading through, I just watched Andrew Messick's video that he posted as well for the safe return to racing and what they're going to implement as far as Ironman goes, and just kind of give you my 2 cents. With athletes, I got athletes looking at Lubbock 70.3 on June 28th, which potentially could be the first Ironman event back on the map. See how that goes. But advising athletes, and I've got pinged with Tulsa. Ironman Tulsa was supposed to be yesterday. Went ahead and did the distance over 3 days anyway. So hopefully you saw that in my Facebook Lives. Supposed to do Des Moines 70.3 on June 21st on Father's Day. That got booted. Got moved to the same weekend as 70.3 Memphis, so I had to defer 2021. Deferred Tulsa 2021. Just too much uncertainty going on right now. And I'm needed here at home to, outweigh signing up for a different event in a different location. But I digress. I wanted to talk about the safe return because Ironman they're going. As long as a location will allow it, federal, state, local governments, counties, cities, as long as they'll let it go with these rules in place, then they're going to do it. So make sure if you're on the fence, you're like, I don't know if I feel safe. I don't know if I want to do it. I don't know if there's going to be a catch. If you're gung ho and let's go do it anyway, I don't really care. I don't think it's a problem. Wherever you're at, know the guidelines that they're going to impose on this event and how it could impact you, positive, negatively, or whatever. The enhanced hygiene, enhanced sanitizers, blah blah blah, disinfectant wipes. That's good. Staff and volunteers are provided with face mask coverings. Athletes are provided with a face covering and pack a pickup. So if you don't have a mask or something, they're going to expect you, athletes, to wear a face covering around the event venues. So probably any time but racing, they're going to have an expectation that athletes are going to be diligent about wearing face coverings, whether you agree with it or not. And it said it's advised. They expect athletes. So they could expect you to wear one, and if you don't, they could approach you and ask you to leave the venue. Don't be one of those people. If you don't agree with it and you don't want to wear one, you start a fight or whatever. I'm just saying, if you don't want to wear one and you're going to walk into Ironman Village or whatever to do check-in without a face mask, they could very well ask you to leave and not let you do the event, not let you do check-in. Again, I am not agreeing with it. I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying this is what Ironman can hold you to. So be prepared for that. Show up without a mask and don't want to wear a mask, they could potentially boot you out. We could go on and on about the logistics or whatever, but just saying, short term, they can make you leave the venue and not come back, not let you do the race. That is their prerogative at that exact moment. Screenings and education. So all this is good, blah, blah, blah program. And this is the PDF they have online, so I'm not making all this stuff up. Many venues institute no-touch body temperature screening. Per WHO guidelines, individuals' body temperatures greater than 104 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius will not be allowed to race. If you come to the event and for whatever reason you have a temperature above 100.4, they're not going to let you race. So be prepared for that. You've paid for lodging, you paid for the event, you paid for everything, you've gotten yourself there, you've gone through the energy, you've gotten your bike there. Whatever reason, if you run in with a temperature of 100.4, they could say, we're not letting you race, you're out. So I'm pretty sure that they're not going to give you a refund if this is the case. Now, I have not seen anything in here in regards to if they don't allow you to race. That's why I'm interested to see what happens at Lubbock 70.3, because this is going to be one of the things they implement. If there's going to be an athlete, they say you can't race, and how that's going to be handled. So just be aware of that. There could be the just off chance, even if you got some other illness going on, it's not even COVID-19. If you have a temperature, they're not going to let you check in. Not even check in. So they could check you with check-in, drop-offs, race day, race morning, coming into transition. They could check you all the time. So if you're running an on and off temperature for some reason and they catch it, they could tell you to go home. So just be ready for that. Density reduction. So increasing transition, yeah, that's not, you know, radical. Non-essential race services functions such as banquets may also. So Ironman's kind of gotten away from doing the banquets anyway, and they've been giving you vouchers to go, you know, spend at restaurants or whatever to have your own dinner, which is fine. I mean, I think they've already kind of set that precedence, but just be aware they're not going to probably do a welcome event. So sometimes in the past they'd have the banquet and they'd just give you a voucher to go to a restaurant, but they're not going to have a any kind of, you know, welcoming event, or it might be digital. They send you a YouTube video or something, do a Facebook Live. So the in-person stuff may not happen. Like usually there's athlete briefings. You know, I've been part of the Ironman University coach teams, and we've had Q&A sessions. They're probably going to do away with all those. Now they might do Facebook Lives, YouTube videos, or something like that, but there's going to be a lot less in-person stuff. So if you want the experience, unfortunately that's not going to be a part of it. So just be ready for that. Touch point minimization, using touch points to interact between staff, design reimage such as athlete check-in. So just be aware that check-in and everything, if you've done an Ironman event before, it's going to be probably a little bit different. Aid stations will be reconfigured to minimize both athlete, volunteer, athlete contact. So they're looking at this athlete self-reliance. So they're going to kind of want you to carry your own hydration, nutrition, and be a little bit more self-sufficient on a course, which personally, I don't like carrying a bunch of junk. I used to start off that way, and it was just really uncomfortable. So this could be a little difficult, especially for first-timers. Wearing race vests, and a simple hydration is a water bottle. I used to use it goes in your short strap or your waistband, and has a little ledge on it that keeps it in your race belt, so that could be an option. So just be aware, especially like if you wear tri-suits. I've got ones with pockets everywhere, so this could be kind of a result in you carrying your own stuff, like goo packets or whatever, drinks, whatever. The aid stations, what they're going to do is they're just going to put everything out. And in here they say that they'll have everything they usually do, but you'll be getting it on your own. So athletes have to go up and go find whatever they want, cup of water, whatever, and it'll be all served or single serve sealed stuff. So I'm interested to see how the drinks work. I know some, you know, is it going to be like mini Gatorades in bottles and they're already sealed? You have to get them and open yourself. On the bike, that's going to be interesting. So self-reliance. So especially in Ironman distance, if you have to carry anything on the bike, it's going to be hard to make it through the entire event. You're still going to have special needs pickups. They're going to make them bigger. So you go get your own special needs bag. So in the past, you just kind of call out your number and someone would bring it out to you. So now they're going to just lay all the bags out and you have to go get it. So you may have to plan on bringing your own, like they may have a station for water that athletes serve themselves, but you're not going to have aid stations necessarily maybe where they are handing out stuff. Maybe you have to stop and get it. So just be prepared for that. There may be more stopping, so be a lot more safer in the aid station zones. Let's see what else they got here. Restrictions. Athletes, recommend athletes wear face covers all venues. Review SMART program. Encourage review, acknowledge race pledge. Volunteers and staff compete in education. Volunteers, enhanced protocols including disinfecting, frequent cleaning, signage for physical distancing, hand sanitizing, garbage receptacles, which some of the stuff is nice. Maybe more porta potties, more space in transition. I mean, haven't we always wanted that? One direction foot flow, traffic flows. Ironman distance events, sometimes they would have bike catchers. Now you have to rack your own bike, which isn't a huge deal. Greater space between portable toilets. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Health questionnaires. So if you've traveled anywhere that's in question, you know, they may ask if you've done a 14-day quarantine if you're from a hotspot area. Right now, it's a little bit vague, personally, in my opinion, because if I'm, say, Kansas City's deemed a hotspot and I go to race in Memphis, and the state of Tennessee says if you come from the state of Kansas, you have to be in 14-day quarantine. It could be on this questionnaire. Did you self-quarantine for 14 days before your arrival with no symptoms? If you say no, you could be out. So that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. Check-in time is to be expanded for cleaning breaks. It's all day during athlete check-in and flow. So just be prepared things could take a little bit longer. They're going to expand hours. So don't come at the last minute and be all bent out of shape, run around with your head cut off. Just make sure you allow yourself plenty of time. Modifications include floor plan. So here's interesting. At the expo, they might have less vendors. You may not be able to try their gear. So like Rudy Project, if you want to try their helmets in person, you may not have the opportunity to. So they're not going to allow you to actually touch the stuff. They're going to have limits in the expo tents. That's going to be interesting to see how the vendors like that. No pre-race massages, no post-race massages. Encouraging contactless payments, digital promotion materials, so no handouts, no goodies. So it's going to be a little different. I mean, the things that we're used to, get your bag and loading up with goodies in the Ironman Village, it may not be an opportunity this time. Merchandise store, new layout options, click and collect. So you can order stuff online and then you'll get it in person, or maybe they have kiosks where you just punch in what you order. So you're not necessarily walking around the Ironman store to be able to touch and feel the stuff you want to buy. Be limited number of customers in store at once, so you may have to wait in line. Maybe a one in, one out policy. Contactless payments. Bike gear and check-in might be scheduled, so you might have to come to an assigned window that corresponds to your name. And if you don't, they may not let you check in. So make sure you're paying attention to this stuff. Be as flexible as possible. They're trying to put these events on. I know everybody wants to do these events. So if you're frustrated with what Ironman wants to do, they're trying to have the events, and they're trying to do the best they can and work with the governments and entities to try to get this out there to be safe. So it's kind of what it is. Unless your event has been postponed or rescheduled or something like that, Ironman Boulder right now, they haven't said anything about that. You're on. You're planning to race it, and this is the things that you'll need to abide by to be able to do it. Swim start, they're looking at smaller waves, spreading people out, so just be prepared. It could be a long swim start. Making the waves smaller and just, spacing people out for the swim starts. Spectators will be separated from the athlete chute. So before, the spectators are like right there next to the chute. So now they're going to have you go away. They're going to expect spectators to social distance from each other. Swim finish, no event will have wetsuit peelers. So just be ready for that. No wetsuit peelers of any sort. Make sure you know how to take your wetsuit off. I always recommend that anyway. Swim finish hydration station will be self-serve hydration station. So basically all aid stations are probably going to go to self-serve, and even on the bike. So just be prepared on the bike aid stations. You may have to stop your bike and get off in order to get aid station materials. Providing showers at swim exit, which they kind of do and don't do that anyway. Transition area will be expanded to increase space between rack bikes. Holy cow, more space in transition. Too bad it took a global pandemic to get stuff like that. More space in gear bag area, more security. So just be ready that they're going to have security there, that they're probably going to be a little bit more stringent on the ins and outs. Rack your own bikes. So when you're racking your bike, you're going to have to rack it yourself. Either sometimes when you drop your bike off for bike check-in, someone will grab it and rack it for you. But when you come off for T2, you're going to have to walk your own bike to the transition area and rack it yourself. So just be prepared that you're going to have to maybe do a little bit more walking in transition. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's something you'll need to be aware of. Special needs area be expanded to allow for max space in the bag, so you're going to have to stop to get off your bike. I would imagine they'll provide racks there. Rack your bike and go find your bag. So just be prepared that you're going to have to get off your bike and do a couple things on your own, which actually I kind of like, because that gives me an opportunity to get off the bike and stretch my back a little bit. So it's not all horrible. Extend turnaround points to avoid clusters of athletes, and when possible, course would be adjusted to be loop courses instead of out and back courses, which I prefer loops anyway, because nobody likes going out and then coming back and seeing the same road or anything like that. So just be prepared that if you're on a course that's pretty standard kind of out and backs, they may change that to kind of break everybody up so you don't have as many people in one spot. So the number of aid stations on the bike and run course will be reduced depending on course environment conditions. So there could be less aid stations, so you're going to need to be prepared to probably carry more stuff than you're usually used to. Make sure that you're prepared to be self-supported. Read the course maps when they come out for these events to know where the aid stations are, and then time accordingly if you need to have stuff in between. So, they're promoting nutrition vests, they're promoting hydration vests. So now's an opportunity for some of this stuff to get on board with. If you need to order this kind of stuff, you need to practice with it in training. This is the kind of time to start doing it. Aid stations, so less aid stations. Encourage athletes to utilize bike and run special needs bags. Run course aid stations will not be set up in self-serve format, so the run is self-serve. Nutrition stays the same. The athlete can grab their own food and nutrition and then go. Volunteers will just be restocking stuff, so they won't hand stuff to you. Where possible, we'll use single-serve sealed products at our aid stations. Increasing space at run special needs. Access your own special needs bag. Turnaround points out. So you're going to be a little less pampered out there because in the past, a special needs person, they'd tear open your bag and say, hey, what do you need out of here? So basically now you're going to have to go get your own bag and open it up and get your own stuff out of there. So, I don't think that's too drastically different. Finish line, increase space and flow through the post finish line, exiting participants as efficiently as possible. So you're not going to be meandering around the finish line area. So if you've been to, especially full Ironman distance finish line, it is rather busy, rather full. There are probably going to be people encouraging you to move out of the area. You may not get your finisher picture. That's kind of a big thing too, or they may kind of try to space the line out, so it's not taking a bunch of space. I'll be curious to see how this kind of turns out, because some of this stuff, it's just hard to imagine the events being run any different, but hopefully, we can have these events and we can adapt, and it's not too much of a disconnect between what we've experienced in the past and what we will experience in the future. Athletes remove their own timing chips, no-touch finish line celebrations. Finish line area will continue to be monitored by medical personnel. Self-serve ice baths will no longer be available, which I haven't had an ice bath at the end of an Ironman event in like 6 or 7 years. So I don't really see a difference in that. Post-race food and beverages will provide an athlete single-serve package self-serving style. So I kind of want that kind of stuff anyway. I want to get my little package of food and go find a spot to sit in. It's always annoying to sit in line and wait for people to get their food. I mean, it may be, less quality of food per se, but I don't really see a problem with that. No post-race massages, so, if that's kind of one of your things, unfortunately that's not going to be available. Digital athlete welcome experience. So again, no banquet and probably no welcome event that they've had in the past that kind of, someone usually, or if Mike Riley's there, he MCs it, and he's up on stage, he's talking about the event. So it could be a Facebook Live, it could be a pre-recorded YouTube video. So just be ready for that. Age group award windows will be offered on-site individual collection of athlete awards, so you could probably come and get it, but they're not going to have the award ceremony. So if you place in top 5 in your age group, usually they come have you stand up on the stage, they give you a reward. Not a big deal. Oh, sorry. So you're not going to have that, unfortunately. Slot allocation roll down ceremony will be modified, more details provided. So roll down for 70.3 and Ironman World Championships in the future. Not too sure how that's going to run off. Then the rest of it's just kind of some medical advisory board information. So, like I said, some of this is kind of vague. I think you just need to be prepared. I think the biggest one is that they're going to possibly take your temperature, and if you're 100.4 or higher, they're going to boot you. So just be prepared for that. Be prepared. There's probably going to be a little less fanfare and excitement. Usually Ironman Village, the better events it's kind of a fun spot to be in. There's lots of stuff going on. There's lots of energy and excitement. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be a little bit lower these days. And that's assuming a race happens and they go off and the local jurisdictions allow it. So this is Ironman's, they're getting ready for it. So they expect you to wear face masks, I think is a big point out of this. So when you get there and if you don't want to wear one, you might be faced with a little bit of opposition by staff and volunteers. So just be ready for that. And I wear a mask everywhere I go, so for me it's not a problem. But if you're totally against it and don't want to wear one, it may cause a problem at these events. I don't know. But then the other one, like I said, the screening. They're going to screen you for temperature, so that could be a big sticking point. But all the other ones are, besides having less aid stations, at the hotter events, I can see that being a little bit of a problem. Because I know, I did 70.3 Muncie last year, and it was very warm on the run, and every aid station I was getting a cup of ice water and pouring it over my head. So, they had aid stations every mile and a half, 2 miles. So if I didn't have that, I probably would have started overheating a little bit more. But I would implement what I used at Chattanooga Chattanooga, the full Ironman in last September 2019. Had a tube sock at the first aid station and tied it shut, and it was full of ice. And I just opened it up every aid station, filled it full of ice, and kept going. So that could be an opportunity where you bring a tube sock, and aid stations, you pour the ice water in there, throw it on your neck, and it keeps you cool for the entire run. So, not exactly perfect, but it could be better than nothing. So this, like I said, is just kind of, I wanted to go over a few of the pinch points of what could be expected to be a little bit different. I've read through, they've made no definitive statements. They haven't said no spectators. Ironman Village, they may be a little picky on how many people get to come in. They may not let groups of 10 people wander around, so if you bring you and your family, it could be a little questionable. So keep an open mind. If you're going to go to one of these events, every event could be different. They could be doing different strategies according to where the race is event, whether it's Chattanooga, whether it's Boulder, whether it's Muncie, whether it's California, whether it's New York, Ohio, Florida, Texas. All these events could be running things a little bit different. I've heard on Lubbock 70.3, they've released their athlete guide, and there's really nothing different on there. There's nothing that really addresses social distancing and all the other implementations you're going to do. So I don't know if they're allowing this to cover it for Ironman's official release. But just, if they're going to have the event, just be ready. Be ready for requiring masks, be ready for social distancing, whether you agree with it, disagree, or whatever. If you're going to go and you're going to do the event, just be ready that you're going to have to follow their guidelines to be able to do their event. And if you don't want to follow it, do not expect a refund, because I seriously doubt if you have a temperature of 100.4 or higher, they're probably not going to give you a refund unless something drastically changes. So just be ready, just be informed. So I just wanted to go over this so you kind of had an idea out there of what Ironman's putting out there. So if you didn't get the email, you didn't see all the Facebook posts, you didn't see the YouTube videos, you got this information, go to the website, check it out, make sure you're up to speed. Any questions, comments, concerns, queries, quagmires, or anything, put them in the comments, and we'll talk to you guys later.